Welcome back, everybody, to the weekend show. I'll be breaking down the stock market. So, before we get started, please hit that like button, and that is greatly appreciated. And if you're new here, definitely consider subscribing. And now, let's get right into the market. All right, so we got lots of earnings this week, but the last week we had the biggest earnings coming out from Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and market was pretty much, going all over the place, up, down, and then we saw a big rally at the end. Now, this week we also have some big earnings, names like AMD that can actually move the market, SpaceX, another one. We have McDonald's, we have Wayfair, Caterpillar, Pfizer. We got Palantir after closing on Monday. Then we have Eli Lilly, Shopify on Wednesday, Uber early morning, Disney, and then right after closing, it's taking a lot of hit right now, SanDisk, and then Western Digital. That's another one to watch out for. So if you want to take a screenshot, go ahead and do that. There's a bunch of earnings coming out this week, and this is going to move the market as well. Now, if you look at it, the market sentiment 31% are bullish, 42.1% are bearish, and about 27% neutral here in this market. Fear and greed index 42 still on fear, so there is still room to both sides. It can go up here or possibly come down into extreme fear, and that will create a lot of opportunities. Now, what market did on Friday, Dow was up 0.53%, NASDAQ was up 1%, S&P was up 0.70%, and Russell went down 0.48%, advancing 41.3, declining 54.1. 11 sectors that makes up S&P 500, massive rally right here. Consumer cyclical, Amazon, communication services, Google was up massively, energy, and then the rest was pretty much just red. And especially down here, basic materials, healthcare, and real estate took a big hit on Friday. But overall, market did pretty well when it comes to that big selling that we saw on Wednesday. Stock market map, what do we have here? Well, some of the highlights, Amazon, one of the biggest run we have ever seen. That was on Friday off of those earnings. Massive move up 15.32%. Meta, also, we saw a big move down, but I knew this thing would recover. And that's why the calls and the shares that I bought, you guys will see that later on. Everything went green. Google, nearly 7%. Nvidia, 3%. Microsoft, 3%. In top of, I think, what this thing went up on Thursday after earnings that came out Wednesday night. And Apple was down 7%, but this is nothing but an opportunity. A lot of red pockets here and there, but also a lot of the greens from the big names. But look at memory chips like AMU, which was down, AMD was down, QCOM was down, SanDisk was down 5%. So now this thing is moving really big now, 5-10% any day up or down. And now that we have all these earnings, especially the big ones behind, we need to see where the market is heading next week. All right, so SPY ETF, it was up 0.72%, and you can see right on my screen, we came down under 732, and what happened? This is the lower Bollinger Band, which is sitting at 733 almost. It came under, and was that a surprise? No, absolutely not. Whenever it comes down to the lower band, you can go back and see that. Usually the band expands, it takes time, or you see a bounce immediately. Most cases, I would say 80% of the time, you'll see a bounce off the lower band because think about it. It's like a rubber band, right? You're stretching it, and then if this thing snaps back, it's going to go right back up. And this is exactly what we got. We're back over 744, looking bullish over 746 as well. These moving averages, red line 50, white line 20 SMA, and just holding up pretty much, into closing on Friday, unchanged for the week. So going into next week, we have a $10 expected move here on SPY, plus or minus from where we closed, 747. So that is the expected move. Now, if it comes down and takes out, especially last week's low, which is down here at 729, then I would think that market wants to go and possibly, go down and get that, bigger correction here, especially here on the S&P. But as of right now, S&P looks really good, really strong. As long as you can hold over 744 in these moving averages, I think we're all good. And this thing breaks over that 749.55. I should move up to 755 and possibly even into previous all-time highs once again. Like I said, my concern would be taking out, previous week's low and then taking out possibly this, major low down here, which is at 725. On triple Q, it was actually down on Wednesday 12%. And when you see something like triple Q, NASDAQ going down 12% in just, matter of a few weeks, that is a dip. I don't know about you guys. I'm buying and I bought, and those things are doing really well. And I'll be buying even more. Let's say this low gets taken out. We're back at 12% and it goes down another 2, 3, 4% or even 5. I'm going to be buying those dips because it was really hard to trade right here as the market just was going higher and higher. No big pullback. Then we had one immediately recovered, right? So when we get these opportunities, most people they just run away. They get scared. Oh, this is the crash. You're buying into crash. You're crazy. No, dip buying is never a bad idea when you're buying product like triple Q here. This ETF. We all know over the years, over and over, this thing dominates anything out there. You put out anything, this thing will dominate. Triple Q all the time for years and years. NASDAQ, the strongest, right? It can go down, it can go down definitely, but we all know that the fastest this thing can come back, how quickly this thing can come back. Just want to give you guys an example. I don't want to go back too far. Just from Wednesday low, right? What happened? I think we saw 658, 658 to almost nearly 700 in just matter of two trading sessions. And you think you're going to be better off shorting this thing or going long? Absolutely going long. So yes, we had a 12% correction. Is this the bottom? This is probably the bottom. We don't know. We have to wait and find out. We're just going back into that area where this thing had that breakdown. And we also got rejection intraday, came down, filling the gap, went back up. So that was good. 687 holding right here, this key support zone. As long as triple Q can close next week over that, I would expect, and this is why you got to look at the weekly chart. Look at the 5 SMA on the weekly here, guys. It's at 709. So if this thing wants to go back and, play a catch up with the 5 SMA, it can easily get to 700 plus. And we have a gap up here. That does not mean that we're just going to go back up to all-time highs immediately, but we can still go higher here on Qs. Now, what would be concerning, we set up a lower high somewhere here, maybe even fill the gap, and then things come down again, and we don't see a higher low. Instead of that, we see a lower low, taking out this low at 660, 661. If that's out, yes, in that case, we would be coming down and retesting the monthly support, the weekly, whatever you want to call it right here, right about 635, 640. We have a gap there, 642. But in this case, look at what happened before. If you thought that it's going down here and you're not going to buy the dip because you're waiting for this thing to come down here, previous all-time highs right here, right about 538, did it even get there? No. So you missed out. And then you saw the rally. You thought it's going to come back. You shorted here. It gapped up. Then you shorted more. It just kept going, right? So shorting is not even in the picture right now. If you want to short, totally up to you. But, usually over time, market only goes up, right? That's the only way market works. Yes, you can make money shorting, but those are not something that you want to go long term. So here on Qs, 687 key level to watch. If it breaks below 677, and then we can possibly talk about more downside, especially tomorrow or Monday night after closing. To the upside, if this thing pushes higher, takes out Friday's high, 695, 690, 577, we would be going up to 700, possibly even fill the gap at 703.62 here on Qs. All right, guys. So I haven't been sharing any trades or anything here in my channel, but there are serious people out there. And if you're one of those people who actually wants to make a career right in the stock market, and this is what you want to do, and I'm talking about only serious people, not somebody who trades one day and then next thing you know they're working and then they come back 3 months later and looking at the account and like, why it's down, this is the only trade I took. I'm not talking about those people. This is what I do day in day out, Monday through Friday. I do not work, and just wanted to share some trade ideas that we took recently. And you can see that this is Google, and we picked up at opening. Look at when I made the call out just before opening that I'm going to get these calls, and look at what's happening on Google. We filled the gap all the way up from that gap down on earnings, massive move to the upside. Here's another one on the 7/23rd, 2026 USO. It was trading at 140 plus, and we got 140 puts on this play right here, 100 contracts. And this thing also went to the moon. Tesla shares sold off, bought, still holding, and it's green. Now shares sold some, still holding some. That one is also green. You can see USO sold here, then Google took some profit, and then and now right here, then we have, this was the most recent one from last week, Wednesday. Market sold off right after Kevin Walsh came out, and we bought the dip. DRAM $52 calls. What happened? We saw on Friday massive move up to 52, sold for a nice juicy profit. Nvidia same thing, sold off. We took DRAM shares also up, sold, took some profit, kept some. Meta holding shares, added even more. And then if you look at this one here, also green, guys. Meta calls sold off about 10, 11%, picked up the dip, and this is going really well right now. And these are long-term calls. You can see I even added more. All these ones that you see on my screen, and look at right here, coin shares picked up 10:18 a.m. at 140, went to 152. Apple calls picked up. This one also ran $10 before closing off of the lows where we got in here on Apple. So fantastic week. One of the best week so far, at least for me this year. And that was last week on that big dip that we saw on Wednesday, and the gap up on Thursday, and continuation on Friday. So if you want to do this seriously full time and you are serious about trading, then head over to Patreon. That link will be down below in the description for you guys. All right, so DIA up 0.5%, looking really strong. And we talked about it before in my video that Dow Jones here, we got this nice flag pattern, and we came down inside the flag, we went back up again. And Friday's pullback, look at this, came down exactly down here, went back up and holding 524. So if this thing remains over 524, I would expect Dow here to possibly go back and retest 528, maybe even 532 previous all-time highs, and maybe even put in a brand new all-time high. A concern would be to, if it breaks below that low from last week, 517 to 515-ish. If we get under that, we might be retesting, 503 to flat 500 here on Dow. On IWM, it's down 0.48%, so nothing really big. But if you look at my screen, I mean, this thing had this massive run, and we're just contracting, pulling back, pretty much same like Dow. I mean, you can call this even a flag here that is taking place right now. So what would be concerning here, 287 breaks, remains under 287. That opens the door for a move down to 281. If this thing breaks over 293, game on for a move easily back up to 300 here on IWM. So this is something just, looks pretty strong, as this thing just contracting, pulling back from all-time highs, but nothing extremely bearish where I would say like, oh, this is gonna burn and go down to zero. That's not happening at this moment. We'll talk about it once we get there if that happens. So quickly, I want to talk about dollar here. You can see the breakdown happened last few days. Dollar getting absolutely smashed. It's getting pretty frothy to the downside. So you might see some sort of a bounce here, and if that happens, that might trigger a little bit of a selling come Monday here in the stock market. And of course, if you're gonna trade as we have president trading with us sitting in the office, you need to have that subscription from Trump. I think it's like $100. And these taco deals are just you gotta follow the news. Yes, technicals work. You gotta have the technicals, but again, and nowadays you gotta have all these news and especially the special tweets because you might be shorting, thinking that market's gonna go and burn and go down to zero, and next thing you know, we got a deal, right? And then if we don't have a deal, market goes down like what 0.5%. We have a deal, market goes up 5%. And I think you guys saw that last week, the brutal rally we saw on Thursday, especially from Nasdaq. So not a fan of shorting, especially with Trump in the office. Never really works out that well. Now, if you're shorting oil, which you guys saw, that is a different product. VIX crashing down. What's concerning here that VIX at this level, 15, 16, spikes back up. So that is the only concern. It's sitting at 16, had a big sell-off, and this is why I bought so many things. When I saw this thing at 21, and we talked about it in my last video, that guys, just have a look at recent moves on VIX. It goes up, stays up for 2 3 days, and then gives back. So it's so easy when you can just look at VIX and easily time the market. I'm telling you guys, it was one of the best week this year that we had last week, and I'm looking forward to the maybe possibly something like that next week. If the market moves again, we get news because as a trader, as an investor, volatility is our friend. Now, if you're just shorting or going, long and you're buying weekly calls or, just some 2DT, 1DT and getting burned, that is on you. But market, when there is a lot of volatility, that's when you make most of your money. And it was last week. It was fantastic. And the last time we did that was back in, I think, April, right? So here on VIX, just be careful if this thing spikes back up, might go to 18 and then come back. But what I would be watching if somehow this thing gets over 21, that's what's going to tell us that market might have more downside in the short term, and we just have to just wait before buying all the dips immediately. But this was what we talked about it in my last video, that 2 3 days dump, 2 days, next day dump. Same thing happened here, guys. The next day dumped, huge dump. I mean, 21 to 16, almost under 16. That is a big move, right, on something like VIX. So when you can time these things together, market and VIX and dollar and everything, you can make a ton of money. But you can't just go out there blindly and get everything. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section, and I'll definitely try to keep you guys updated Monday night as I was in vacation, took a vacation in Canada, came back. That's why there was no update during this week. And I'm just taking it easy, guys. I don't really have to bring people, give trade ideas, but if somebody, really serious and they want these trade ideas, they want to trade with me, definitely, I welcome serious people. But if you're not serious, I don't want to see anybody, just jumping for joy here and there, and then 2 3 days later they're just missing, right? Those people are just people that waste your time, and they want to show you that they can do everything, but they're not serious. So I'm not looking for those types of people, but this is fantastic opportunity in the market to go a long way, start making money, start trading, start getting involved in this market, and start learning together where you can become a better trader.